speak up to 3 minutes on any topic not related to the agenda tonight. For yellow cards, those have been submitted here and presented to me. Those speakers will be able to speak on any agenda-related, on non-agenda and agenda-related items for a length of time not to total 5 minutes per person, and that's for all the items that they're listed to speak for. And that's except for public hearings. For those items, you will be allowed to have up to 2 minutes when that item is called on the agenda. We will get to the public comments in a moment. I do want to go, and then we'll get to public hearings, but I do want to go out of order a little bit. We are without a chair or vice chair since the commission has now had its places 2, 4, and 6 appointed. I want to welcome Daniel Mendoza to the dais. Welcome, Place 2 Commissioner Daniel Mendoza.
Thank you.
Who is now taking that seat. Chair Pies is out, or outgoing Chair Pies is out tonight off the dais, as well as Commissioner Terry. I do want to call, though, if we can go to item 5. Consideration, discussion, and possible action on the appointment for the chair of the Planning and Zoning Commission. I believe this is for a 1-year term that will expire at the end of 2026. And I will entertain a motion for a chair. And then we'll go to vice chair. Commissioner Meyer.
I'd like to make a motion to appoint Mr. Stensland for chair.
I have a motion by Commissioner Meyer to appoint Commissioner Stensland as chair. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a second. Anyone want to discuss or consider additional nominations or substitute nominations? Okay. Hearing none. This is very odd for me. I'll take a vote. All those in favor of appointing Commissioner Stensland as chair of the Planning and Zoning Commission for the year 2026, please raise your hand. Opposed? That motion passes 5-0. Thank you. Okay. Hi, I'm your chair now. I will now take nominations off of item 6. This is consideration, discussion, and possible action on the appointment of the it's like in real time, of the vice chair of the Planning and Zoning Commission. Same terms apply.
I'd like to see if it's possible to nominate myself for vice chair.
Believe so. Would anyone, do I have a second to the nomination of Mr. Neela as vice chair?
I'll second that.
Second from Commissioner Mendoza. I'm going to take some notes here. All right. Any discussion to that motion? Any alternate nominations for vice chair? Hearing none and seeing none, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Opposed? The motion passes 5-0. Welcome, vice chair. Also very punctual in your attendance always. It's been nice to see you here the last year. All right. Thank you so much. All right. Commissioner Neela will now be vice chair of the Planning and Zoning Commission. Commissioner Stensland is now chair of the Planning and Zoning Commission for the year 2026. Who was the motion maker? That was Meyer. And seconded by Mendoza. All right. Thank you all. Thank you all for entertaining us on that. I will now get back to, we have no one speaking here on non-agenda related items. We'll call you up on, I don't have a white card.
On the yellow card is not.
Oh, okay. I do see that. Mr. Battle, you have a total of 5 minutes on all agenda and non-agenda related items. And your time will start once you start speaking. Would you address us?
Thank you, sir. And just for future references, normally people recuse themselves from voting for themselves. Okay. Mr. Neela has done some good things on this board, but he's also the husband of one of our council members. The Charter Review Committee recommended that all the people have, they can't serve on committees if they have 1 degree of consanguinity. Okay. I'm a little disturbed because you guys still seem to be acting like you're a committee. One question I have is, why is Mr. Dunlap up here on the dais? He's not on the commission. He's a staff member. He should sit out here with the staff members. It gives him a distorted view of really what's going on here. You guys need to set your own agenda. This is not a 3 hours once a month job. You guys took this job for a reason, and I want to see you guys step up to the plate and start helping control our town. We've been taken over by the developers. All these city staff does is shovel money at developers. We're supposed to be having 4 plazas in town right now. Does anyone really think that Pete Dwyer's Las Entradas is a TERS blighted area, deserving of government money? I don't think so. Timmerman, he's supposed to put in a plaza too. A plaza is not a shopping center. A plaza is statues and fountains. It's a place, a meeting place. Every great city in Europe has a plaza. Every little town in Mexico has a plaza. Maynard, we think it's a shopping center. The Maynard dumb gene is just rampant. We have $100 million and you guys can't even get a ping pong table for us. Well, that's for the park committee. You guys need to take over, do some town halls. I mean, seriously. We're being pummeled by a comprehensive plan that's obsolete. The city moved the quote downtown to where I said it was, only a mile south of where it should be. That's the new quote town center. You need to rescind the comprehensive plan. It's total BS and everyone in this room knows it. It's full of lies. It's 605 pages of bloated BS. Do you really think we need to give Maynard Downs $8 million to come destroy our little stadium and put in like a little neighborhood park? And you guys call this an amphitheater? This is what the city of Maynard calls an amphitheater. And by the way, this Dalphin is not putting any money into that amphitheater. And by the way, they never were going to do anything for Hill Lane. They totally fed you a bunch of BS on that. I believe it was Mr. Myers who said, come back to us with some other plans that don't require us chopping down that 29-inch heritage pecan tree. They never did. What they did is they bamboozled some subdivision builder into doing the 2 parcels south of there. They totally flummoxed you guys into subdividing it into 7 parcels. And then they used a comprehensive plan to justify it. Why are we giving a $5 billion company $8 million? We have a Maynard commercial park that's out there toward Elgin. That's where it goes. Now they're talking about a sports complex. We have one, Maynard Downs. What the hell do you think that is? It was a horse race track. It should be a soccer field. Can't we do something with the stuff we have other than bulldoze it down? And we're talking about one thing tonight. The owner of this big ugly box over here. You guys let them put an ugly, ugly box. I call it the wart on Lexington in a historic district. We've had a historic district since 2017. 2 of the city council members were on there when they did it. Mrs. Amesqua and Miss Emily Hill, or Ann Weir, 2 out of those 3. Did they forget why they voted for it then? The only thing we have interesting in this town is our history. James Maynard's not even mentioned on the webpage. Gosh, I'm just getting going. Oh, thank you. You guys have a very important, pardon me?
You have 38 seconds still. Sorry, sir.
30 seconds?
Yeah.
All right. Well, let me look at my notes here. The agenda is screwed up. You guys need to learn how to do an agenda. When you don't put the minutes on here, that's a violation of the Texas Open Meetings Act. That's a misdemeanor Class C. I've got about 4 ahead of you, with you guys. But the city attorneys will not put them before the court because the city attorneys, they think their job is to protect you guys. They think their job is to do a cover-up of everything that the city secretaries do not release. They wouldn't even give us the GPR map they spent $32,000 on. Now they're fighting with me to get it. They're fighting with Texas AGs. I don't think you're going to win that one.
Mr. Battle, thank you.
Thank you.
And I will. All righty. We are going to move into item 1, which is conduct a public hearing on a specific use permit for 8,703 square feet of medical clinic on 1 acre more or less and being platted as Lot 2, Block B, Manor Northeast Commercial, and located at 12420 East US Highway 290 in Manor, Texas. I'm reading from the slides instead of the agenda. Do I need to do a TCAT parcel? Are we good? Alrighty. With that, I have Mr. That's because you. I know now. Mr. Battle, you have 2 minutes.
Thank you, sir. My name's Robert Battle. This is a situation where I have some kind of mixed, contradictory things that are all good and all true. And in fact, you guys kind of really brought this to my attention with the medical thing down here in the Las Entradas area, which is these people do not generate huge amounts of sales taxes. Maybe we don't want them on the frontage part of the Highway 290. So definitely a consideration. We'll see what the owner's representatives have to say about that. I was very concerned because I couldn't tell from the map where this parcel was at all. So if planning would put like a larger map so we can tell where it is, that would be good. I was afraid it was at the southwest corner of this parcel, because Timmerman is over 10 acres and he's required to put in a plaza. What we need to do is get all these people competing with each other to put in an over-the-top fantastic plaza. That's how cities become something worth visiting. Okay? So in other words, I'm for and against this in a way. I'm totally for it, but maybe back further from the street. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Battle. That is all the speakers we have on item 1. Commissioners, I will entertain a motion to close or keep open the public hearing.
I'll move to close the public hearing.
A motion by Commissioner Aubert to close the public hearing on item 1. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Mendoza. Any discussion to that? Seeing none, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Opposed? The motion passes. All right, item 2 is to conduct a public hearing on a short form final plat for a re-subdivision of a portion of lots 11 through 20, Block 30, Town of Manor, into one lot on 0.3048 acres, more or less, and being located near the intersection of North Lexington Street and East Boyce Street in Manor. I have Mr. Battle. You have 2 minutes.
Do you mind pulling up that shot, the aerial view? Okay, yes, my name's Robert Battle. Good to be here talking with you. See those green blotches there? Those are what I call trees. Trees are what we want. Parking lots we want as few as possible. Now, the Catalyst commercial did a second quote downtown plan, and they really like inner city sort of walkways. So in other words, I can walk from my house to right here, and I don't have to be on this commercial corridor that you call Parsons. It doesn't even have a sidewalk. Or I could go in this other commercial corridor, Lexington. It doesn't even have a sidewalk. You guys can't even fix the sidewalk across the street. Putting asphalt on this parking lot, maybe in 10 years. Now, what this really is, A, he wants a parking lot. He doesn't have to join these parcels together to do a parking lot. What this is this is his prelude. This is the same guy that built this big ugly box across the street. He doesn't have enough parking. Well, that was partly your problem for approving that without enough parking. He needs to share it with those other people over there, the Boyce bunch of ugly boxes started by the South Korean real estate investment trust worth $250 million that couldn't care less about our town. This is a prelude for him to put a high-rise there. This guy, Eric Davis, he's the black version of Pete Dwyer. Okay? So he gets whatever he wants. That's the way it works in Manor. He needs to be stopped right now because we do not want this gosh darn gigantic bloated view of downtown. We have to stop it. We need to keep this. We need to buy these parcels from him. We have plenty of money. We've got $100 million. We need to buy these 3 parcels. This guy also, why isn't he showing us where the parking is? How many trees will be left when he gets done? He's basically got the planning commission going to put that road in for him too? We probably, is this in the TERS plan? Is TERS benefiting from this?
Mr. Battle,
Yes, sir.
that's your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Oh. Commissioners, that is all the speakers we have signed up on item 2. I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we close discussion on agenda item 2.
I have a motion by Vice Chair Neela. There we go. To close the public hearing. Do I have a second?
A second.
Second by Commissioner Mendoza. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Opposed? The motion passes 5-0. Item 3 is conduct a public hearing on a short form final plat on a replat of Lot 45, Block K of Phase 3 Lago subdivision, being 3 lots on 6.321 acres of land, more or less, and being located near 17075.5 Blake Manor Road in Manor, Texas. The applicant is Kimley Horn. I have Mr. Battle signed up for speaking on this one. And for note, I had 2 speakers who were signed up, not wishing to speak, but in support on item 2.
Thank you, sir. My name's Robert Battle. What I'm particularly concerned about in this is whether or not this is in the TERS Zone 3. You guys, not you guys, the city council especially, city council and staff are really confused about these TERS. Basically, it's a violation of Texas law to have the people controlling the TERS also the people that they report to. The council is not the TERS committee and also the city council, except in Manor. So I tried to understand what this TERS is, and what I call it, it's a shell game to keep money out of the general fund. Okay? What we're doing is we're giving developers 25 years of free rides on the property taxes. Now, Mr. Jones stood up at the meeting 1 or 2 times ago and says, well, nobody's taxes go up. That's not the point. That's a smokescreen. The point is the developers, we're having to pay the developers to come in here and build. Why don't they do that on their own? This is, if I'm not incorrect, this is kind of the Lagos area. That's Mr. Dwyer's, another free ride for Pete Dwyer and his cronies. These people have been running our town for 20 years. That's why the parks are empty, the roads are crappy, and all them. You know, Mr. Mayor spent $5,000 buying drinks, and he can't afford $5,000 for a reward for a guy that got murdered 5 blocks from here. And you want to pretend that Black Lives Matter? That's total BS in Manor.
Thank you, Mr. Battle. Commissioners, that is all the speakers signed up on item 3. And there's no one signed up in addition to it.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
A motion by Commissioner Meyer to close the public hearing. Do I have a second?
One second.
Second by, should I call you by, I'm going to call you Vice Chair Neela all the time. That'll be fun. Second by Vice Chair Neela. Any discussion of the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Opposed? That motion passes 5-0. All right. That gets us into our consent agenda. There is one item on the consent agenda. All of the items on the consent agenda are considered to be self-explanatory by the Planning and Zoning Commission and will be acted upon in one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless requested by myself or by a commissioner, in which the item will be removed and considered separately. Commissioners, have you had time to review the minutes? Perfect. I'll entertain a motion on the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I have a motion by Commissioner Meyer to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Commissioner Mendoza seconds. All those in favor? Opposed? That motion passes 5-0. All right, we have completed items 5 and 6. We will move on to item 7, and that is consideration, discussion, and possible action on a specific use permit for 8,703 square feet of medical clinic on 1 acre, more or less, and being platted as Lot 2, Block B of Manor Northeast Commercial, and located at 12420 East US Highway 290 in Manor, Texas. The applicant is 4T Realty, owner Timmerman Commercial Investments LP. We do have some folks in the audience who are here for the applicant, 4T Realty. Staff, Mr. Dunlop. A summary of this item.
All right, evening, commissioners. So this item, it is in Manor Commons Phase 3, so that's the northeast corner of FM 973 and 290, so kind of the last undeveloped corner of that intersection there. It's proposed to be 18 lots, so 17 commercial lots and 1 drainage lot. You can see the plat there and the proposed lot for this particular specific use permit. As it's currently been submitted and planned, there's about 138,000 square feet of commercial development, which includes retail, restaurants, and financial institutions, so a bank, and a hotel, a 100-room hotel. And that 138,000, if you're reading that on your summary form, that does not include the hotel. That's just the square footages, because hotels are based on rooms and not the square footage. And so for this particular use, as we've done many times or a number of times before for medical use, the zoning requires a specific use permit. So we looked at the amount of square footage for this medical use compared to the overall. It's proposed to be 8,703 square feet for this freestanding emergency center. And that represents about 6.3% of that retail and restaurant square footage. Again, it doesn't include the square footage of the hotel. But that's about, I said, 6.3%. And over on the other side of FM 973 there in Manor Crossing, we've authorized about 5% of medical use in that one. So the 6.3 is kind of in keeping in line with what was approved over there. And additionally, they have met with economic development, Scott Jones, because there are incentive agreements for this development, and the developer is aware that having a parcel that doesn't generate sales tax could lower their reimbursements or extend their time, but not past the term of their agreement. I don't know if that's a 20-year tax incentive agreement or 25, but it couldn't extend beyond that time frame without council approval. But the developer is aware and consents, and economic development is aware. And then further, looking through the comprehensive plan, this area is planned to be community mixed use, which includes commercial and residential uses. This one is all commercial, but within that, and I believe the dashboard for community mixed use is in your backup. It isn't 100% retail, as it's envisioned in the comprehensive plan. The non-residential portion of a community mixed use district is 50% retail, 40% office, and 10% other. And so that 10% other could be your like civic uses or open space type uses, but this use would fall into that 40%. And percentages of percentages. 40% of the 50% non-residential works out to 20% of the overall development. And so, as I mentioned before, we're at about 6.3%. So they still are in line with what the comprehensive plan envisions. And again, on this page 2 on the dashboard, it talks about the community mixed use serving Manor residents, and specifically calls out medical and healthcare uses as appropriate. So again, staff is recommending approval for this particular use. Again, if you have any questions, be happy to answer them. Again, the applicants are here as well too.
Mr. Dunlop, did staff consider the micro hospital that's just within close proximity? I think it's within a mile of this, even though it's not in the city of Manor full purpose?
Yes, yeah, they've been considered. The applicants, they propose that their use is a little functionally different than those types of ones. So that may be a good question for them on maybe the specifics of how they're different. But we primarily looked at just the overall mix of this one particular development. We do have, obviously, St. David's recently opened. There's the one in Manor Point over there by Parmer, and then the one in front of Presidential Meadows the micro hospital.
Mhm.
So it is great that we're being served by these types of uses now.
I
We
know.
not have really any hospital type uses. But the applicant has provided that they are operate a little differently than those types.
Thank you. Yeah, we went from 0 grocery stores to 1 grocery store. Now we have 3 on the same corners. We also went from having 0. We have had 1 urgent care. Now we have an urgent care, a freestanding, a micro on the way. But I'm also looking at this as like, is this like the next trope? First, we had a slew of, I think we had like 6 self storage come through. And I know when we look at these developments, just within their own entity, we don't like look at the network, and then we end up with, I've heard me talk about like the gas station template where you have gas station, vice number 2, so it's like a vape shop, a liquor store, some sort of like naughty food place. You know what I mean? There's no salad place, and then a dental facility or some sort of medical facility. Like that's kind of our template that we've done like 3 or 4 times. So I wanted to make sure that like when you're looking at these requests, you're looking at it based on all 4 corners, and also based off of what I talked about last month. I didn't mean to brand these this way, but we have our golden acres and we have our silver acres, or if you want to call them our penny acres, where we don't get the sale. Like they're not as ideal for, like, we have very few of the golden acres. So I wanted to see, this is a golden acre, correct?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Oh,
We
it
would
was.
capture the sales tax on this parcel.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and the applicant was made aware, because you all recommended and council approved 2 other medical office, medical clinic
Mhm.
spaces, one in front of Presidential Glen, and then one a little further east, I think closer to Old Kimbrough. But those are for not as far along,
Yeah.
and they looked at it, and the applicant said that those sites don't suit their needs and where they need to be and on their timelines, I believe. But those 2 other locations weren't
It's feasible.
maybe I was like
Okay.
in your terminology golden.
Commissioners, do you have questions for staff or for the applicant?
Can you help me out a little bit on location? So this is 290 or 290 973 over.
In front of Greenbury.
Okay, that's what I wanted to make sure. Okay.
And this driveway here is a future driveway that'll punch through kind of about, what are you talking about, 200 feet back from the intersection? Roughly?
More than that.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah. That's
Oh,
a
yeah.
pretty-
Oh, duh, 500 feet. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That entire parcel is 33 acres.
Okay. And this would be kind of the second parcel. Is that the blue square? Is that the building itself, or is that the full parcel with parking?
That is the lot boundary, the proposed lot boundary that they
Okay.
that this SUP would be applying towards.
Okay, thank you.
And sorry, the yellow is the notification, the 300 foot. So any property. So there wasn't many notified property owners.
Did you
but-
notify the birds on the south side? All right, thank you. It's so close. Commissioners? If no questions, I'll entertain a motion on this specific use permit.
I have a question of staff, I guess. So correct me if I'm wrong. My understanding was that we're under the 10%, let's say, of medical use. Whether that be, are we counting medical office in that as well? So if we, let's say, next month we had another lot in here and that pushed us over the 10% envisioned, is it fair to say that is no longer in line with what we would hope for the parcel or for the lot as a whole for medical uses, let's say?
Yes. Yeah. So staff, we would take a lot of direction from you all and council. Internally we kind of look at, supporting up to 10%. We hear like, hey, that's really not reasonable. Like, don't even get that high, stick to 5. But you'll see like as mentioned, like all over these shopping centers have mixes of uses. It's kind of hard to fill 138,000 square feet of sales tax generating only, and then it is also true of our code that medical requires this SUP, but other non-sales tax generating uses are allowed by right. So you can get like banks and personal services, so gyms and salons, and those don't generate too much sales tax either, but they're allowed. And so that may be future discussions as we get into our code of do we really make all the uses sales tax only and then keep everything in general office that isn't generating a sales tax or require SUPs or not. But don't get too into the weeds. But to your question, yeah, usually if it's 5 to 10%, we'll probably like to say, hey, this seems reasonable. But again, we take a lot of direction from you also.
I guess what I'm also picking up from you is if we treated this like a true keto diet or something like that, and we said, all right, we've got to just do all, if sales tax was protein, you've got to you have to have a little bit of a mix in there, right? In order to have a balanced community attraction. Like it's unrealistic almost to have 100%.
Yeah, I mean, I support like the mixed uses. So there's you're bringing in people like for the medical use. Well, in this case, it's an emergency center, so they're probably not choosing to really want to go there. But other ones like your salons and stuff, they might be more destinations, and you have your retail that is maybe more impulsive. People are shopping, and they get your restaurants in there. So having the range of uses brings in a range of people and residents to it, and then they can stay longer and maybe complete more of their daily tasks and not have to drive around as much. If they can do everything in one center. So that's why we would support, a range of uses within this up to a limit. Because
6 months ago, it would have been a 15-mile drive.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
And how does this differ from the medical facility that we considered last month?
Steph, do you want to address that?
The one last month, I believe it was the Action Behavior Center over in Las Entradas. So that is functioning a daycare, but for children, I think they go up to age 8, who are on the autism spectrum. So it's a specialized daycare type service. It was being classified as medical clinic. Sort of revised that. Got the city manager on that one. But that one was this is a freestanding emergency room. And that one was, I guess maybe potentially could have switched. I mean, it depends on how you condition the approval, but that one was planned to be a daycare for children with autism.
Is there any difference as far as the 380 tax?
No. But the economic development who handles those, they would maybe set up the reimbursements and timeframes differently, but it just depends on what they're considering as reimbursable and the percentages.
This is a much smaller facility than the other one that was being considered. I think the other one was like 13,000 square feet. I know it was a larger. It was like a third of the parcel.
Yeah. So Las Entradas,
yeah.
where the other one was planned, that does not have a 380 tax incentive agreement. That is a public improvement district. So they were receiving funds, the developer, for construction of authorized improvements through their PID. So there isn't a 380 there. There is a TERS, but that encompasses this part of downtown and it extends out into the Las Entradas area. So that way, any of the increase in tax value, a percentage that is captured to be reinvested back into the TERS district area. So that previous one you considered last week, that one did not have a sales tax 380 type agreement on it, but we did collect sales tax there, so that was a consideration.
I believe we have the applicant, or at least the applicant's representative, right? I have a question about access, given that I'm imagining y'all are not going to pursue a direct driveway with TxDOT, so if I'm wrong about that, we can maybe talk about that piece. But can you walk me through a little bit how you envision access to and from the site, given that there's going to be a couple of like adjacent sites that you're going to have to go through?
Yes. So people would be able to come take a right in off of 290 into that new curb cut there that they're showing the access road that then links back to 973. Oh yeah, you can see it here. And so you would be able to come across the neighboring parcel that will be developed there. And then you can see also on the rear, there will be a connection behind that. I think it's a cell phone tower there on the adjacent lot that would connect to the retail that fronts onto 973. And so there'd be multiple ingress and egress points. And in that location right there at 290 with really visible access is really important for someone when they've been hurt or they're sick and they need to get to a doctor right away. And that's one of the reasons that they chose this location, is to make sure that they can provide that best service to folks and they can come there easily and they can pull up right in front and have that access.
Do you want to ask your name? Are you Sarah
Oh, I'm
Corona?
so sorry. I'm Taylor Steed with 4T Realty, and I'm the applicant. We're
Perfect. Thank
We
you.
are together.
And are you Sarah Corona?
I'm not. I'm Elise Lombardi.
Oh, hi. Sorry, I'm just assigning names out here to people. All right. Thank you, Ms. Steed.
Yes, thank you.
One question, if I may. So is it one entrance or two entrances?
I'm sorry?
Is it one entrance or two entrances? I didn't hear that part.
Well, there's multiple entrances and exits off of the lot, but there's one main curb cut. It's an actual road that goes from 973 to 290. But the parcel itself will have multiple points of access.
Mr. Dunlop, you've got three commissioners over here that are nerds about transportation. This kind of the little roundabouty, and then it goes over there to the left. Is that going to align that northwestern driveway? Does that align to the HEB exit entrance there at the front of their store, or does that align to the Maynard Crossing intersection that's signalized already?
The signalized Manor Commerce Boulevard.
We like that word. Okay. And then this would be also probably a signalized, or at least a right in, right out. Oh, I see a left turn lane. Correct? That's a left turn lane in the cut to go east to north.
There should not be any crossover. So
Okay.
if you're heading eastbound on 290, you
Oh,
have to
because that's the turn
turn
lane.
like at Greenberry. You turn.
Yeah. You'd go in through Greenberry and then come into the development that way.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, and this is based off the current. You know that TxDOT is our friend, and they have thoughts for 290.
Yes, of course.
Has a sign? This is irrelevant to this question, probably. No, never mind. I was asked about the coordinated side plan for this. If we've talked about the blade or not, but we'll talk about that later. Yeah. All right, we'll keep it focused on the permit.
Yes,
Thank
of
you.
course.
Yeah, thank you so much. Commissioner, any other questions or a motion? I'll entertain it. Mr. Mendoza?
I propose a motion
All right.
to just close the.
Oh, we're already closed. So now we will take a motion to approve, deny, or postpone decision on so we'll make a motion now to approve or deny
Okay.
or postpone this item,
Okay.
this business item.
I guess I'll make a motion to approve. Yeah.
I have a motion by Commissioner Mendoza to approve the specific use permit for medical clinic on item 7. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a second. Any discussion on this motion? Any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your hand. All those opposed? All right. That is 3-2. Does that pass? Because it's based on those present, members voting present. So that passes. Thank you. All right. I'm like, it's quorum, not of all vested humans that are part of the commission. Thank you so much, applicant. All right, item 8. So that passes on a vote of 3-2. Thank you so much. Item 8 is consideration, discussion, and possible action on a short form final plat for a re-subdivision of a portion of lots 11 through 20, Block 30, Town of Manor, into one lot on 0.3048 acres, more or less, and being located near the intersection of North Lexington Street and East Boy Street, Manor, Texas. Mr. Dunlop, do you want me to cue some music for you? I'm sorry.
Please, thank you.
I've been thinking about Joni Mitchell for a week now. All right, go for it.
Sure. So this, as you can see from the plat in your backup there, it is a number of lots and portions of lots that have been probably existing for a long time in those configurations. So they're replatting it into one lot to legalize it. I mean, it's always not described as portions and parts of lots. And so it is planned to be, one lot that is going to be proposed to be a surface parking lot for downtown businesses. Commercial off-street parking is allowed by right in the zoning category, so they're able to do that. We have been processing a site plan for it, so that way that meets code. And I know that the trees was brought up. They are proposing some fee in lieu mitigation, so they're planting as many trees as they can, consistent with our parking standards and everything they need to do. So that may be going to City Council here in the next few weeks for them to consider. But again, this is just a plat, and this is also a non-discretionary item that has been approved by our engineers, so we are recommending approval.
Thank you so much, Mr. Dunlop.
Oh, sorry, maybe I'll add slightly bit more. They will be using the alley and improving the city's alley. So that will be the access off Lexington and Burnett. And then that little portion that pokes out up there onto Boy Street, that is also an exit there next to that little strip retail that's there. So they'll have 3 points of ingress and egress into this property.
Mr. Dunlop, I read the conformance letter from the engineer, but I'm trying to figure out, is this going to be used for offsetting parking requirements for downtown business that exists, or
No.
are there a downtown business? I'm trying to figure out I'm trying to figure out how we're paving Paradise. Like I'm trying to figure out how we're paving half a block.
Sure. So yeah, this isn't being used to offset any particular development. The development across the street met their parking standards. They have retail on the bottom that may want additional parking that they couldn't accommodate on site. But that building across the street met their minimum requirements for parking. And so again, this is a use that is allowed within the zoning district.
Okay.
So they're able to do it.
By right.
Yes.
All right.
Is there going to be a joint agreement or for use of this parking lot if it's built?
No, so we don't have any requirements, and I can't think of anything right now that maybe would cause the city to, create that, where we could have like joint agreements with the developer for this.
So it'll still be a private lot technically.
Yes.
Okay. And commissioners, as you heard staff say, this is a non-discretionary item, so this is approve or deny with direction. Yeah, deny with conditions.
I move that we approve agenda item 8.
I have a motion by Vice Chair Neela to approve item 8. Do I have a second? Calling for a second to approve item 8. One more call for a second on item 8 to approve. Hearing none, that motion fails. Or that motion does not. The motion, there's no failing of the motion, but that motion just is not seconded. And Assistant City Attorney Veronica.
Good evening, Commissioners. Chair and Commissioners, Veronica Rivera, Assistant City Attorney. On non-discretionary items, if you are going to deny a plat, you need to provide specific reasoning for it. Those would be the conditions. So if whoever is making a motion to deny needs to provide specific reasoning so that the developer can come back and rectify whatever was not met when the plat was provided to the P&Z. If it's met all the requirements, which it is showing in your backup, then again, then you should consider that. But if there is something that is missing, then definitely provide the conditions.
Thank you, Mr. Roy. And to clarify, no action is not. We must take action, otherwise. Well, there's also a
If
shot
you-
clock on this.
Right. If you do
So
not
no
take-
action results
means
in automatic approval.
Correct. That is correct, sir.
Okay. Does that make sense, commissioners? All right.
Do we have a representative for the developer in this?
I do not have anyone here at least signed up to speak on from MWM
there-
Design Group.
There's Sarah. You called her before.
Come on up. Hello. Throw your hands in the air for us. Do you mind stating your name?
Sure. I'm Sarah Corona with MWM Design.
I
Group.
found you on my list. Thank you, Ms. Corona. Sorry about that.
Can you walk us through what y'all are envisioning for the site? I know we're talking parking lot. I'm not seeing sort of what the need is, but I'm also would like to understand maybe what the need is.
Yeah. As far as I know, it is for a parking lot. I think it's meant to help the surrounding businesses.
I'm concerned for a private use parking lot that supposedly would help the local businesses, but where the businesses have no actual legal right to use it. So if I was looking at more of a public use or community use, I'd be more in favor. And plus, it's loaded with trees. So I've got two items there that bothers me about this. So that's my objection.
My concern is also the trees. I know it was brought up something along the lines that there would be some replanting of the trees, like as many as possible. But what exactly would that end up meaning? Because I definitely see at least like 10, 15 trees here. Would it just be like a couple, or would it definitely try to get back to the number that was already existing? Or is there a plan for that?
I believe they are pursuing the fee in lieu for the replanting.
Can staff remind us what a fee in lieu entails, and then what happens with the money for a fee in lieu?
Planning and Zoning Commission. My name is Michael Burrell, Development Services Director for the City of Manor. This is probably not what you want to hear, but the questions you are asking pertain more to site plan than the plat, so they would not hold relevance to this specific item. I can speak somewhat to the other question pertaining to the actual use of the parking lot. The intent, from my understanding with conversation with the developer, is to enter into partnership agreements with the surrounding businesses so that shared cost is there for maintenance of the lot, but that's about the extent of my knowledge, as we have not reached approval of everything yet. But that also aside, not related to the actual plat.
Thank you, Mr. Burrow. Commissioners, any other questions?
Yes. Can we get a little bit of a rundown on what happens with fee in lieu payments for trees? A little bit of a refresher on what that goes towards in 101.
Yeah. So it's authorized by City Council, and so they determined the fee at the time of the request. So they just did one at their last meeting, and they authorized $200 per caliper inch for that particular project. And so the way it works, even through the platting process, they'll do tree surveys and they'll identify their protected and heritage trees. The heritage trees obviously come to you all for authorization to be removed, and then if there's any fee mitigation, that would then go into city council. But they'll do their tree surveys and identify the amount of caliper inches, what trees are to remain, what trees are to be removed, and then through their, that administrative site process, they'll submit a landscaping plan, and they're going to say, I'm going to plant so many trees, and then our trees, type A, type B trees, which are large, medium trees, they're required to be 3-inch at planting, and so, if you have 30 caliper inches that you have to mitigate for, you have to at least plant 10 trees to get to that. And so if the way their site is designed, they can't necessarily always go over their impervious cover. But if they're not able to accommodate all the required plantings, then they'll take, whatever they couldn't plant, or maybe in this case, there's a higher mitigation rate. Then they'll say, hey, we can't accommodate it all on the property, and so our code allows for them to either just go plant trees on city property, or they can request the fee in lieu, or a combination of those two things. And so this one, they've, as I said, they've designed it to be in compliance with our parking standards in terms of end islands and landscaping, and it didn't meet the required mitigation for the amount of caliper inches they're removing. So then that difference is what would be going to city council for their approval, their determination on the fee and approval. And then if it's approved, before we issue their site development permit, so they can't do anything until they pay that. So we'll assess them the rate that council determines, and that goes into a tree fund that's separate, and that is used only for the city to plant and maintain trees on city property, so in our parks, rights of way, here, city hall properties, so we can use it to those ends for tree planting and maintenance.
Thank you. And this was a germane conversation because staff introduced the fee in lieu, so I allowed that to continue. So thank you. Sorry, Mr. Burrell. If we don't want to talk about it, don't talk about it, and then we won't talk about it. Staff, commissioners, any other questions of staff or the applicant? Do you have a clear understanding of what is expected of commissioners on item 8? I will entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to approve with objection to the use as a parking lot.
I'm not sure if I'm able to have that. The motion is either allowed to be approve, approve or deny with conditions.
Correct.
It's an acceptance of the conformance letter and the final plat.
Correct. Commissioner Meyer, Veronica Rivera, Assistant City Attorney. With regard to the motion that you just made, you are actually providing information on zoning because you're discussing the use or in your motion, and at this time it is only the subdivision that is being considered and not any of the uses. So if you'd like to provide another motion, but at this time, that
motion I can't accept because it is not within the bounds of the meets and bounds of what's allowed.
Because it's not a zoning case at this time.
Mm-hmm.
It's a subdivision application.
I withdraw my motion.
All right. I'm looking to the left side of the dais.
I'll move to approve item 8.
I have a motion by Commissioner Aubert to approve item 8. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
A second by Commissioner Neela. Do we have any discussion on this non-discretionary item? All those in favor, please raise your hand. Opposed? Please raise your hand. The motion passes 3-2. All righty. Thank you. And thank you for submitting your card. Our final item of the evening is item 9, consideration, discussion, and possible action on a short form final plat of a replat of Lot 45, Block K, Phase 3, Lago Subdivision, being 3 lots on 6.321 acres of land, more or less, and being located near 17075.5 Blake Manor Road, Manor, Texas. Sorry, I keep getting a dry mouth every time I see this address. This is also non-discretionary item. Staff, please explain.
Sure. So this was platted in the Lago subdivision. It is a 6.3 acre commercial lot, and so they're further subdividing it now into 3 lots for pad site individual development. There's nothing proposed on them right now, so I think they're just getting ahead of it. We have construction plans in, which are an administrative process to extend water and sewer to these, but again, there's no further development beyond that. So yes, this is a simple 3-lot commercial subdivision of a larger commercial lot in Lagos, and as was mentioned, it's non-discretionary, so we're recommending approval.
It's along Future Whisper Valley Road, or Whisper Valley Connector.
Wild Horse Connector.
Wild Horse Connector. That's what it is. It's one of those. Yeah. Thank you. Commissioners, I will entertain a motion on item 9.
I'll make a motion that we approve item number 9.
I have a motion by Commissioner Meyer to approve item 9. Do I have a second?
A second.
Second by Commissioner Mendoza. Any discussion to this non-discretionary item? All those in favor, please raise your hand. Opposed? That motion passes 5-0. It is 7:26 on Wednesday, February 11th. That finishes our business. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll move that we adjourn.
Motion by Commissioner Aubert. Second.
Second.
Neela. All those in favor, please raise your hand. That motion passes. We are now adjourned at 7:27 p.m. Thank you.
Was that song Pave Paradise? I almost put that on my thing and played.